This story is about 35-year-old John Paulos. He left his wife and 3 children and started a new life with a 21-year-old DJ from Colombia that he met online. He also gave their entire marital income to an offshore trust, and they were now having trouble with their money because of this. He began a new life with the DJ at the same time. When he wasn't with his family back home, John traveled the world with his new girlfriend. He even bragged on Twitter about the woman from Colombia he invited on vacation before he even met her. This tweet was sent out in December 2022. A little more than a month later, a security tape caught John trying to get rid of his girlfriend's dead body and then trying to leave the country. John Paulos was born in Franklin, Wisconsin in 1988. Ashley was the girl he had a crush on since high school, and they got married in 2009. They had 3 beautiful children together. From the outside, they looked like the perfect pair. That being said, their happy family had a terrible blow in 2016. Their oldest son, who was only 4 years old at the time, was told he had a type of cancer that only 350 people get each year. John and Ashley fought hard for their son, trying to get the Food and Drug Administration (FDA) to approve a hopeful new treatment and getting people in the community to help them raise $60,000 to pay for his medical bills. In 2017, the brave little boy from the Paulos family finally came out of surgery cancer-free after 13 long hours of surgery to remove 150 tumors. Also, the Speaker of the House called his family as an honorary guest to the President's State of the Union address in 2018. The family showed what it means to be strong, hopeful, and patient in the face of terrible chances. Even though they were a sign of hope for many couples across the United States, not many people could have seen the terrible problems that were about to happen in the Paulos home. A lot of people didn't know this, but the Paulos' marriage wasn't perfect. Ashley's life had become worse because of John's dangerous and controlling behavior. After living in fear for many years, she finally asked for a divorce in 2021. John decided to put the whole marriage estate into an overseas trust before the divorce was official. This meant that Ashley and the kids had nothing. Not long after that, he left them all behind and started living what is believed a good life. He lived in Cyprus, Turkey, Ukraine, and other European countries before settling down in Texas. Also, John stopped being involved with his kids' lives completely. He didn't see them in person since he left Wisconsin in January 2021. Besides that, he refused to pay any child support, even though a judge ruled him to do so. The divorce actions went on, and John took advantage of legal flaws by declaring himself a sovereign citizen the whole time. The process became very hard to understand because of this. He didn't have to pay any legal fees, but his wife did have to pay thousands of dollars in attorney fees because of him. John's wife didn't know about his new relationship at the time because he had already moved on with his life. Even though they were still going through the divorce process, in April 2022, John met Valentina Trespalacios, who was 21 years old at the time, on the popular dating app Tinder. At the time, she was a well-known DJ in Colombia's capital city, making a name for herself. While she was still in her teens, she started working as a DJ. By the time she was 21, she was an important part of Bogotá's nightlife. She played the best Latin dance music, like reggaeton and guaracha, at all the best clubs. At the Colombia Dance Awards in 2019, she was even named the Big Break DJ of the Year. John invited Valentina to a fancy holiday in Cancun, Mexico, and offered to pay for everything. John quickly and deeply fell in love with Valentina. During this time, the two got to know each other better and decided to make their relationship stable. Over the next few months, John took many trips to Colombia to see Valentina in Bogotá. In turn, this led to the start of a relationship marked by regular trips. There is no record of the exact amounts of the cash gifts he gave her every week, but he was very kind to her. It was clear that John was truly in love with the woman because he asked her to marry him after only a few months of dating. In December 2022, John Paulos responded to a popular Twitter question that asked users to share their most interesting first date stories with a comment that was out of the ordinary. "I invited a Colombian woman on vacation without meeting her first, and now we're getting married." John wrote on Twitter on December the 17th along with a picture of himself and Valentina Palacios, his fiancée. When it came out, the article painted a picture of a modern relationship that grew online between people from different countries. People wished they had the same luck. A little more than a month later, though, John would end this assumed fairy tale marriage in a terrible way by taking advantage of the situation. When John Paulos got to Bogota on January the 19th, 2023, it was already morning. Everything was set up so that he would stay in Colombia and start his new life with Valentina. He told her that he had found them a place to live in the city, even though they later found out that the apartment they were renting was only for a short time. Paulos brings a big blue suitcase into the apartment building at 8:53 p.m., as seen on surveillance video. 2 days after that, Valentina's body was found in the same suitcase that he had been carrying. The next morning, John Paulos went to the house where Valentina's mother lived. Following this, he went to get Valentina and all of her things so that she could move into his house quicker. John gets into his gray rental car and drives up to the scene. After their intense kiss, they went to Valentina's mother's house to get her things. Cameras caught the two of them going into John's apartment together just after 7 o'clock at night. After that, the couple stayed in the room for another 2 hours before leaving together at 9:46 p.m. Around that area, Valentina had a show planned and John took her to the place. They came back for a short time at 1:54 in the morning, but were seen leaving again at 3 in the morning. It was just after 5 in the morning when the two finally got to their house. The papers submitted to the court showed that the way they talked to each other was normal and that they seemed to get along really well. The next day, January the 21st, John and Valentina spent most of the day at home to fully recover from their late-night trip. Even though they only left the apartment to go to get lunch, they came back soon after and locked themselves inside for the rest of the day. Cams caught John leaving the apartment by himself at 10:43 p.m. No one knows where he was going at the time, but there is video footage that seems to show Valentina recording him with her cell phone. Even on the video, her anger could be seen. John Paulos rolled out the same big blue suitcase that he had brought with him 2 days before. The video was taken early the next morning on January the 22nd, just after 10 a.m. At this point, a gray blanket had been put over the bags. Why? Valentina Palacios' body wasn't fit inside the suitcase and her head could be seen through the hole. Paulos hid her head behind the blanket so that no one would see it. After only 4 minutes, cameras caught Paulos in the parking area trying to lift the heavy suitcase into the truck of his rental car. Following this, John Paulos leaves and cameras set up at different places along the route show him driving the rented car towards the Los Cambulos neighborhood. Paulos stopped near a dumpster at this point and left the suitcase with Valentina's body inside there. As soon as possible, he gets back on the road and goes toward the Bogota airport. He went to the airport, got on a plane, and left the country. During that evening, a homeless guy was looking through the trash in the Los Cambulos neighborhood when he found a blue suitcase with a woman's head sticking out of it. Almost right away, he called the cops, who quickly confirmed that the person who had died was Valentina Palacios. There were deep bruises on her neck and major damage to her head, both of which showed she had been brutally attacked. The police were able to quickly identify their main suspect, and since he had an American visa, they knew it was likely that he would try to leave the country. When Colombian police got to the airport, they confirmed that John Paulos had already left the country, taking a flight to Panama City earlier the same day. This came as a surprise to them because they had been working hard to keep him from getting away by putting him on a no-fly list. To make things even scarier, the police found out that John Paulos had bought tickets from Panama to Turkey and then to Montenegro, a country that did not have an arrest agreement with Colombia. The Colombian government knew right away how serious the situation was and quickly contacted their law enforcement colleagues in Panama to try to stop Paulos from flying to Montenegro and getting away from them. The cops caught John Paulos just as he was about to get on his plane from Panama. After that, they were able to catch him and bring him back to Colombia. In spite of the strong evidence that has been given against him, Paulos has maintained his innocence. In fact, he has said that Valentina's death was the work of the Madeleine cartel, a Colombian drug gang that used to be run by the famous drug lord Pablo Escobar but is no longer active. The police obviously didn't believe him, so they charged John Paulos with femicide. It turned out that John was abusive and demanding with Valentina, just like he was with his ex-wife, watching her social media accounts, telling her who she could talk to, and even hiring a private detective to follow her around were some of the things he did when he wasn't in the country. The prosecution says that John started hitting Valentina on the night of the murder. This happened after the couple had a fight earlier in the evening. The many marks that could be seen on her body made this very clear. He finally ended her by suffocating her to death. He then threw away the bags with her body inside it to hide the crime and get out of the country as quickly as possible. In Colombia, killing a woman is a crime that is punishable by 40 years in prison. It is known as femicide. In order to avoid taking blame, John Paulos tried to use technicalities. He said that because he was an American, he didn't know about the femicide charge against him and that there wasn't a translator with him when he was arrested. This claim was disputed by the prosecutors, who said that all of the charges were made clear and that Paulos understood them. More specifically, they said that if Paulos was found guilty, they would ask the court to give him at least 50 years in jail. Throughout the whole process, Paulos said that he is innocent and that he plans to plead not guilty at his hearing. The hearing is currently going on, and it is expected that it will be over in a few months.